Corner, another video game podcast. My name is Harrison, and I'm joined by my friends.
Rowan, you might know me as Mocha.
And Sheldon, you might know me as Captain Unova.
And we are wicked excited for Worlds. Y'all are going to notice, if I can do my part right, that this episode comes out a day early. So Wednesday, the day right before Worlds starts, as we kind of, with that being this week, we want to talk about it. It's going to be fun. Small talk. How are y'all doing?
Doing great. I'm so excited for Worlds. This is gonna be the best Pokemon of Gen 8 in my opinion.
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm super hyped to watch some of these players, and we're good to see a lot of people we haven't really ever seen on any kind of official streams and all. That'll be exciting.
Yeah, I think that we've seen the metagame develop so much in Series 12 so far, and it just suddenly kind of stopped a little bit in the past month or so. And
right.
I think that's because all the big movers and shakers have been prepping for Worlds, and then they've been keeping it in their back pocket.
100%.
We're gonna see standard teams, but every single one is gonna pull out, at least of the good players are gonna pull out just a little bit of spice that's gonna make you oh, okay, I've never seen that, and that there's a reason because they haven't told anybody. And we're all going to see it this weekend. It's going to be awesome. Yeah.
I'm wondering, on that note, how much practice these big names have done on Showdown or in some sort of public space, or if it's all been we all know that they have team building and practice groups amongst themselves,
yeah.
Right? So
even then you want to kind of keep it secret from your friends too. You choose 2 or 3 people. They're I trust you guys. We might come with the same team. Yeah, we are team building and practicing together and telling no one.
Right. Exactly that. So
yeah, because you'll see them you'll see a few people have the same teams. Maybe a couple of things here and there are different, but you can tell they all work. Yeah, you can tell they work together on it.
Yeah. So I mean, this is kind of a thing. I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with competitive StarCraft. That was something I was super into for a while, and the pros in that when they play on ladder, because you do have to practice on ladder, you gotta keep for them at least they have to keep their fingers sharp, but I think ladder's good practice in general. And what they will do is they'll make barcode names where their names are just some pattern of capital I lowercase L, so they are indistinguishable from anyone else.
I've seen that. I've seen names like that in other games, and it's despicable.
Yeah, so Pokemon players don't take it quite that seriously. They'll just come up with random meme names. I've had a bunch of of Indian themed ones for World Cup prep, but it's the same principle, right? Because in StarCraft, you'll think of really special builds. You will I will build stuff at a very weird order, and I'll rush them at this time that no one ever does, and this wouldn't work normally, but they won't expect it from me, and so I'll ruin them. And if people know you do that because you did it on ladder, then
and people are prepared.
They will prep. People know life this the same, even more than they know life VGC, right?
Sure.
Pokemon's even more like that. It's your tech is it doesn't take any reflexes to stop your tech. It just takes knowing it's coming and how to stop it.
Well, that we've talked about in the past episode. It's not a reflexive twitch game like a shooter or mobile or RTS like StarCraft. None of that stuff. It is a turn-based. You get to choose what you play, strategy game, thinking through, knowing board state, yada, yada, yada.
So knowledge is everything, and they are going to keep that to themselves. Sorry, we're going way deep dive tangent, whatever.
I said small talk, and now we're already on the topic of this week's episode. Okay, how is life, Sheldon?
Life's pretty good, man. Same old stuff.
Wow, this is super exciting.
We're just watching Sheldon's soul be crushed just a little bit more every week.
I think so.
Yeah, work, school, parenting.
Have some really girly sweet wine and just move on. Just embrace it.
You say that? You say that, and legitimately what I have.
All right. Fair enough. Everyone take a sip.
I thought I had the stylish glass with my end thing, but you just have the bottle, and I really respect that.
That's
fantastic.
That's the thing with the girlier kind of wine, the sweet wines and stuff. I just they're
like juice. The
juice.
whole thing. Yeah.
So why even put it back in the fridge because it's gonna stay cold.
I'm still on team make your own. This is homemade mead.
Oh yeah.
I respect that more, but yeah. No, that's great. That's great.
Okay, that was That was glorious. We can't top that. Okay, let's get into the topics of this episode. So everything we're talking about is world-based. So as y'all know, Rowan has been playing in the World Cup from Victory Road for Team India, and he's got some fun updates.
Yeah, so before we go into the World Championship, we'll talk about the World Cup. This is like country-based instead
Not
of...
everything can have the WC initials. Anyway, sorry, go on.
But these two do. So they're pretty much like the two premier events like going on until Scarlet Violet drop. And World Championships are definitely higher profile to be perfectly up front. But I'm really happy with this. So Team India, we just went, I think it's confirmed as of today, we were 7-1 in our last round of the group stages. So we took first place in our group. I won the 2 matches I played this like set of rounds. I took 1 round off and then I won the next 2. So yeah, video on my channel. Quick shameless plug about the final round against Costa Rica.
We're all about shameless plugs. It's fine.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so that's great for us, but just in general, it's been really cool to see like the storylines come into this. So India's first in our group, followed by Thailand, who we tied with in the first match, the one I didn't get to play. So we'll be facing off against Singapore in the top 16. But like there's a bunch of big stuff happening. So Spain were the world champions last year. They were the ones who won the whole thing, and they are out. They got eliminated in groups.
Oh wow.
So yeah, Spain is gone. So I'm gonna say let me look who was in their group and who took them out. So Taiwan and Poland took it out over Spain. Spain tied Taiwan, but Poland crushed them pretty bad, and it looks like they might beat Uruguay, but it doesn't matter because Uruguay was last in the group. So yeah, no, Spain is out despite being the champions last year. The US is advancing pretty easily, but for a brief moment it looked like they wouldn't, because in the first week they went down 3-0 against Norway, and then they just came back and took it and then swept the rest of their group. But it was kind of the US is the absolute dream team. Like many world's top cutters, many regional champions. It's actually insane how good their team is. So they're the people to beat this year, I think. And then who else? Japan is insanely good. They have 1 or 2 world champions even. I know they at least have Shoma. They may have Naoto. I'm not sure if Naoto's playing for them, but there's at least 2 world champions in Japan, and one of them is definitely playing. And they were first in their group. China is also like the big thing. Everybody expected China to do it incredibly well because they have we'll get into this in the World Championship section, but there were a ton of really strong Chinese players who just no one really saw them coming, and they traveled to the US for US events. Like they played in US regionals and they played in NAIC, and at all of like almost every major event there was a Chinese player in top cut, like doing really well, and in some cases winning it. And and all those players were on their team. Like they were like China, like actually, man, it's one thing to have all the players who are good from your country. It's another thing to get them motivated to play in World Cup.
Sure.
And they got them all, and it looks like they're actually not going to make it. So that's also crazy. Like there's just a bunch of like really big like kind of just stories there. There was also a group of death. Italy, Peru, the UK, and Ecuador. Ecuador has Paul Ruiz on it, so like world champion on that team. The UK has a ton of regional champs. Italy was, I think, like the 2nd or 3rd team from last year, and they're just... You probably know a bunch of really good Italian players, even if you don't know that they're Italian. Like, Claudio Del Pidio is really good. God, I'm trying to think. Marco Silva is huge. Like, there are just... They might be the strongest VGC like country out there, and so they're moving forward from the group of death too. Like it's going to be really exciting to see how this goes. So, and then if we win our round of 16 match, I think we guarantee group stages next year too. So that'll be cool.
Oh, cool,
nice.
And I think stuff that you were hitting on in that short tirade, I think is really cool. Because what you don't necessarily...
I couldn't stop talking. Sorry.
It's cool.
This is your spotlight here.
Absolutely. But the fact that like this is the 2nd year that Victory Road has done the World Cup. And I think what's really cool about this is that all of these teams, all these different countries, these teams are put together, and like you see that like, oh, there is such a strong, showing in Italy for this game, right? In Spain,
Right.
and all these places, like, not to be, I don't know, to show my terrible American upbringing. It's like, oh yeah, I guess I wouldn't have really thought of how popular this game is that we've grown up with, right? In foreign countries, right? Which is such a naive and stupid thing to say and very American. So I'm sorry. I'm smarter and wiser now. But like the fact that it's not, I mean, U.S. is still a big name, but like, and Japan's a big name, but like other countries too. It's really cool, and I think that's this, and then obviously the World Championships that we'll talk about here in a moment is it's such a cool. The fact that these are global scale events for this, again, we say it, this children's video game that we play competitively. It's a wild concept, and I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
It brings like to sound super cheesy. It brings the world together. I don't know.
It's actually like surprising how much it's grown. I feel like it's just like continued.
Sure.
Because you look at like the older, like if you go back and watch older worlds, it's usually just like U.S. versus Japan. Is essentially like what it came down to, and but like
maybe that's part of it too. Right, like
it is really a global game now,
but it has grown to be.
You have a lot more like we could probably get a little bit more support from TPCI about getting like Latin America some love with the regionals and all, but other than stuff like that, the demand's there. To be
optimistic, I hope that we're going in that direction, right? As I hope that someone from Play Pokemon, TPCI, whomever. Is seen like, oh, there's this third party, fan made thing, the World Cup that has global attention. We need to make sure we have more of a global presence.
Yeah. And I think it shows what a global game it is and how this is like fan organized to begin with. So the fact that it's like the same, a lot of the same players who were at the World Championships are putting their heart and soul into this thing. So that's awesome. But also like you touched on like Sheldon, you just touched on like LATAM not having the right support for regionals. You're totally right. It's awful.
Yep.
And yet, despite that, they have a world champion from LATAM, and several countries are in the top 16 as well. Like Peru survived the group of death. Argentina came back and went to the next stage. Who else? There's at least one more.
Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil also did second in the group after the U.S. Like
the desire, the want to play is there.
Yeah.
It's just the support needs to come and follow next.
Yep.
Which is cool. It's so
they're
awesome.
not getting the support and they're still doing that well. So like
that speaks a lot about like the quality of player.
Absolutely.
There. Yeah.
Terrifying. In a good way. But yeah, so I don't know if you touched on this already, Rowan, but what is the timeline now? Right.
So we're taking a week off for Worlds.
That makes sense.
There's a lot of players, including players on my team, who are going to Worlds. So they figured that like people would just have people who didn't want to play that week, and I think that's the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
They say we've got 2 weeks off, but I think that might have been counting like it might be an additional week off after Worlds too, because people have to travel home after that. Like London is far from probably most of the people who are competing there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's going to be 2 weeks, and then playoffs will start, and then it's just single elimination bracket until the end.
Cool.
So yeah, our path puts us. We'll play Singapore in the round of 16, and then it's the winner of Italy and who?
And it says second
France or Australia.
France. France is playing Italy. So yeah, so the winner of Italy and France will play the winner of India and Singapore.
Why is there a first and second France on this bracket?
Because so this bracket was made before we knew who would actually what the placements were for each group. But now we know. I put it in here somewhere, but yeah, it's a whole thing. I didn't want to do I didn't want to make my own bracket. So yeah,
That's
and then
fine.
the U.S. If we make it to round of 4, it'll probably be against the U.S. and that'll be horrifying. But
that's awesome.
Anything's possible on the day, so I'm really excited about all this. I think it's a really cool event, and I'll keep us up to date as things progress. At the very least, we should talk about the finals when that comes around.
Oh sure, absolutely, yeah. I think I like the little segment we have every episode of World Cup updates.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna try to keep my undefeated record at this point. Like,
I was
that's
gonna say
my
you
point of
gotta
personal pride.
tout your toot your own horn here. You're
Yep.
what,
Yeah.
5-0?
5-0 so far. We'll see if that holds up. I'll be playing next week
So
too.
That means
I was
that,
I was
2 weeks
looking
from
at
now.
so they got like a whole like stats section for the players and all,
It's,
and
it's not up to date yet. Yeah.
it's not up to date because you got one more win, but like on this right here, you're actually number 25 on the game differential. So
Yeah, I
like
actually
compared to
I have a
games
few.
won, and
I've had a few 2-1s. Yeah.
so but I guess with your last one, you'll be a little bit higher because you went 2-0 to last one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So you
Got
Yeah, there's only a couple people that have not dropped a game, it looks like, but
Yeah, there are a few though. I think one of them is on my team as well.
yeah. Raghav, is that how you say his name?
Yeah,
Raghav. Yeah.
Raghav's
Yeah.
a beast. Yeah.
And then you got someone from looks like Norway, and
you say
I don't know the flag. I'm terrible.
24th or 20th? 20th. I see 20th.
Oh, on mine it says 25th.
You gotta refresh the page sometimes. They're using some kind of weird web app that like
Okay.
doesn't
Well,
actually
you're
refresh when you navigate sometimes.
you're actually tied for third, technically,
Oh, so it is.
because you have 8th all tied for first, the 7th, and then you're at 6th,
Now it says 21st.
which
Okay.
which is pretty.
Yeah.
It's a pretty sweet little accomplishment there.
Yeah, honestly, like I'm so impressed by how well they've ran this event too. Like
Mm-hmm.
this really feels professional. Like in some, like they're putting more work into this than like the Pokemon
Oh, yeah.
company actually does for a lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
I was curious about that, and I was gonna
It's a massive tournament, so
I was
Yeah,
gonna
well,
ask
I mean-
towards the end what your thoughts on this was, but now we get a little sneak peek.
Yeah, no, this is this is like very high production value, and I love it. Like they put, even if they don't cast your game, it'll be on the YouTube channel if you send
cool.
it to them. They will cast a game from every matchup every week, so that's quite a few. So like every like team matchup, will like determine who's gonna send in their game to be streamed. I got to do it once, and then like everybody else takes their turn, right?
Mhm.
And they'll try to match it up, which is kind of hard to do after a while when like everybody's playing everybody and it's randomized, right? And then like there's stats, matches, like VODs, like team write-ups and pictures and everything for everybody, all in this like very well. Like, I'm in software. This is a good website. This is better
Yeah.
than stuff I've worked on before.
yeah, it's actually really is well done. Just the only thing though I don't like those because like how you said they put up like the videos on the YouTube. Like I don't like clicking on a video to watch and then it's just the game music.
No commentary.
And it's like
Yeah,
oh,
so
it's so hard to watch.
Tip, if it has the live, if it has like a little red live badge on the thumbnail,
Yeah.
that means someone actually commentated it.
Yeah.
But they should definitely specify that better. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
but
done the same.
because it is a disappointing. Like you're like oh sweet, this is gonna be great, and then it's just almost crickets.
Yeah.
But like I
But
mean,
it's hard
even their
to do, though, I can imagine.
Oh yeah,
So
but they have such a good commentator staff too.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Peggy's on there and Maeve and all. Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that and how stacked it was for even the casters. So yeah. Yeah,
Cool,
so I
cool.
think that's pretty cool. So we still have a few more weeks, a few more episodes we can milk this for content, which is great. And of course, good luck to Rowan and Team India because that's just cool. I don't know.
Oh, thanks, y'all.
It's
Appreciate
super
it.
neat.
Oh yeah, you're our home team.
Yeah, it's got to be. As much as I want to vote for, vote for US. It's
Team
You're-
USA
you're
doesn't need the
literally right
chairs.
here.
They're gonna do
No.
just fine whether you
that's
reform
fair.
or
Yeah,
not.
that's super true. So yeah, fair point. Cool. So
So on to Worlds.
on to Worlds. So I wanted to break this up into a couple things because Worlds is pun intended very large. So I think it'd be cool to discuss and talk about a couple of different aspects of it. First is what is Worlds? What is the format of it? This year it's different than years past. They're doing something different for the first one in 3 years. Don't know if that's has something to do with it or not, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about how you get there, right? What it is, what is CP? How does that actually happen? I think we've sort of touched on this before in a past episode, but we'll do it again. And then a couple of big names to look out for, I think. So let's talk about the format of Worlds.
I think y'all know more about this than me at this point. I haven't looked into it at all.
So I'm
4
going.
days, right?
So full disclosure, I am stealing all of this information off of a Twitter thread that Wolfie put out. So thank you, Wolfie. You'll never see this, but thank you anyway. So, but he pointed out
we need to tag him. We need to tag him in it.
Oh gosh.
He's getting the free.
Yeah,
the free promo here.
Because our promo is what he needs. Anywho, so he pointed out there's a couple of differences this year than years past. So originally it was a 2-day tournament. In 2015 it became 3 days, and here in 2022 it's becoming 4 days. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The first day, that Thursday, is going to be where a lot of players are just taken out because it is a I'm guessing a Swiss or something. It doesn't actually specify.
Yeah, it's Swiss.
Okay,
it's Swiss.
That makes sense. But a Swiss tournament where you can lose 2 games. If you lose 2 games, you're out. And then you have the option to, once you get past that, right? So if it's
2 or fewer. So if you lose 3, you're out.
Yeah,
you can lose 2.
You can go.
Sorry,
X and 2
yes,
advances.
sorry,
Yeah.
yep.
X and 2. X and 2 cuts.
You're right.
And that's and that's per day, if I recall. So you can go X and you can lose 2 on day 1, and you can lose 2 on day 2.
So day 1 is its own tournament by itself, basically.
Yep. To get in, and then once you get into day 2, and
day 2 is like the actual worlds.
Yep. So is this is Thursday, is day 1 just the open, right?
Well, okay, so Thursday, it's for day 1 invitations, and it's just cutting down the field, basically. Sure. It's like an invite last chance qualifier, basically, but gotcha. You have to get invited to it.
Oh, you do that? Okay.
Yeah. But they also have the open going on, which is technically like the first regional of the year. That'll be going on too.
Okay, sorry. So
can you play in both? Could you be in Worlds and that?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
That.
Yeah.
Wow, can you be in 2 places?
That's kind of surprising. I was like, going to Worlds puts you at
I'd have to check though, but I don't think you'd be able to, because day 1 pretty much is going to go all day.
Yeah, I don't know how the timing for that would work out. Probably not in your favor. Also, the sheer amount of stamina you'd need to do that.
Yeah.
Right, to play, like if it's too
just non-stop for like 16 hours.
It's gonna be 16 games. Whatever.
And then if you cut, you got to go do it again for day 2 worlds.
Coin flip hyper offense. Let's go.
Right. I'm clicking Tailwind and Water Spout, then Astral Barrage. Hope I win.
There you go. see, just spam it and go.
Curum Sableye Shedinja. Let's do it. Like, done.
Anywho, so that is day 1 and effectively day 2. And then day 3, you actually have the bracketed top cut, right? So it's gonna go down to what, top 32, I'm guessing. Probably.
I'm looking to see if it says the number.
32 or 16, I think. Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah.
Certainly not 64, and certainly not 8. So either way, you got top cut bracket, and then Sunday championship day, you actually have the single 2 people, right? So yeah. The finals, right? Yeah, so probably 32 is what Wolfie was suggesting there. So assuming that's what it is, it's gonna be it's a long tournament, right? And
very long.
PCG has the same stuff going on too. I think the same format. For this tournament at least. But it's cool. And it's interesting because the key thing here is that this is the first year they have 4 days, right? And I wonder if that is the new format going forward. I feel like it would be. But I also wonder if that stems from the fact that this is the first Worlds in 3 years.
Yeah, and there's 377 qualified players.
Yeah, so
it's
there's
the biggest Worlds ever by like a wide margin. Whoever's world champion here is like, this is
we didn't even have like
world champion.
Yeah, like that is like past Matt's capacity for most regionals this year.
Right. So the build up of people who qualified and all this stuff from the couple years who haven't had a chance to do Worlds warranted the 4th day. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, so I think that's super cool. I think that's the basic format of Worlds, right? There is one more thing. Hold on. You can make team changes between day 1 and day 2.
Yep.
That's
And that
cool.
Yeah,
is the
I
only
was
thing.
going to say that.
Yeah.
There's a good amount of that. Like, so the idea is that just like the field will narrow considerably between day 1 and 2. And like we've been talking about regional metas a lot throughout the day, like that, or throughout like our podcast, and that obviously comes to a head in Worlds. You have players from all over the world. It's not like just because one region might be better than another. Every region is guaranteed a certain number of players to come in. So you might want like a more generalist team that can handle everything day 1, whereas day 2 you can say like, okay, I think that the top players are going to be from these countries. I'm going to specifically build for the meta from these countries.
Yep.
You might even have a bunch of teams ready to go and choose them based on the results.
I was
because
about to
those are gonna be
say,
public at the time.
Yeah, there you probably have something lined up, right? Some Pokemon in the PC, or at least some paste you can build off of real quick that evening. You know, you have different options there. But
Yes.
could only imagine you have the players who are going to take this seriously have several teams lined up, I think, for day 2 and beyond. Yeah, so the day 2 the lock-in, your team lock-in on day 2 is what brings you through Sunday, right? So the whole tournament there.
Yep.
So that's cool. Super neat. So CP?
So championship points. That's basically how you get in here. So it's kind of something to think about. So you needed 400 championship points for a
World.
day 1 invite, I believe. Was the cutoff.
Depends on your region.
Depending on your region, it's low. It's in the U.S. You need 400.
U.S.
It's
and
lower in a
Canada
lot of
and
the
Latin
world.
and Latin America is also 400.
Which is
Whoa,
wild considering
wait.
how few.
Yeah.
If
Because
any
Europe-
place is gonna have less, you'd think it would be LATAM. Yeah.
Yeah, because Europe's 300. How's Europe less than Latin America?
It's in Europe.
Oceania's
That just feels
300,
wrong.
and in the Middle East and South Africa is 250. I can't believe Oceania is 300. Like you have to
There's like a decent number of tournaments there, and not as many people.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah, it should
they
be
have a pretty
higher.
good time over in Australia.
but still, like most of the people that live in that area, like you have to do like major like world travel just to go to your like regional, your region's regionals.
I guess you do have to go across the ocean or something. And
Yeah,
visas are always a thing with this too, right? It's like I think
Yeah.
LATAM gets that treatment because geographically they're closer to the US where most of these regionals are than anyone else. But like it's not easy to get a visa from a lot of these countries. So like it's a bit iffy there.
I don't know how that
And just
works.
having to travel that far, like that's crazy for this kind of
of it.
game. To go, win your plane tickets money worth of if you win it.
Yeah, hopefully you do, right? Hopefully that's doesn't.
Like you have to win
Party
just to
prize.
recoup your travel money. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. So it's like the top X from each country gets to go directly to day 2. They skip the day 1 tournament. They go straight to day 2. If you're the top, I think it's different per region. Also, I don't know exactly how much it is. Like in the US, the top 8 get day 2 and they get their plane tickets and hotels paid for, travel assistance. Then the next 4 get a day 2 invite, and then everybody below that has to fight through day 1 with the rest of us. Well, I say us, the rest of them. But then in like EU, for example, it's a lot more.
That's
1,
crazy.
2, 3, 4, 5.
They
6,
have a
7.
lower entry, and that many more get.
Yeah, that's impressive.
The top 16
16
get travel assistance in
crazy.
the EU, and then the next 8 after that get a day
Right.
2. So very interesting. I don't really know how they choose it, but yeah. Long story short is that you earn championship points by winning tournaments, and then the top scorers get to go to Worlds.
So- And to put a little more definition in that, right? It's regionals, it's NAIC, it's all these official big tournaments you hear about, and also you get a chance to win championship points from your local league up to like
Which doesn't exist.
some small threshold. And yes, to be fair, for the past 2 years they did not exist, but in a normal situation, you have that
correct,
option
yeah.
too, and it's a small portion. It's like out of the 400 for the US, it's like maybe 125, 120, 150, 100 you can get from leagues.
Then
But
you also have like smaller countries that have their own individual national tournaments.
yes.
So like Japan, Korea, let's see here, Singapore, Malaysia, Taiwan, Hong Kong, they all have their own national tournaments, and those don't award CP, and instead they just the winners or the top X placers in that single tournament instantly go to Worlds because there's no other tournaments in the country.
Yeah, they're not part of Play Pokemon like the rest of the world is.
Right. That's a different factor there.
Yeah. Yeah. So they just have like the one big like national championship kind of tournament.
And that is like you said, it was Japan and the neighboring countries. Yeah.
Pretty much. Japan,
lot of different
Korea.
Asian countries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you can see on this list, they just stop having CP.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they had like the Asia Players Cup.
Right.
The winner of that got a day 2 and a travel assistance. Whole bunch of things like that.
Yeah,
Singapore,
like,
Malaysia,
yeah.
Philippines, Thailand.
I know that like Nontaro won one of those with Xerneas of all things, and gets to go to Worlds Day 2 with travel assistance off the Xerneas win. Wild, but yeah, like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's neat. So I think the other cool thing, which we kind of touched on travel assistance here a little bit. There are 377 world invitees, and I think I said 96 of them have 96 of them have day 2 invites, right? So they skip the day 1 thing. I didn't actually count how many get travel assistance, but it's interesting to see that's kind of the way that you get to Worlds, right? Like you play in these tournaments, you do well, you win, and you get all your stuff paid for, which is cool.
Yeah, which is a big deal, right? Because I touched on this in previous weeks also, but London is so expensive to go to and to be in.
Yep.
So if any help you can get, especially if your currency doesn't match up particularly well against the British pound, like the pound has been stronger, but it is still probably one of the most valuable currencies on the planet in one of the most expensive cities on the planet.
Yep.
And
So,
if you're from a place that like your currency doesn't work well against the US dollar, then you are not going to have a fun time.
No.
Yeah. I mean, like just to go spectate, we were looking at tickets, and like it's just expensive to go do that, right? Like it's not worth. That's not true. It is an expensive option to just go do that, right? So I don't know. It's there's a lot to get into this. That's cool though.
Yeah. So, and there are just some incredibly notable players here. Like I tried to pick a few to talk about, but like there are so many more that we could go into, and it would just be like absolutely massive.
Like we could all just take a section of this and probably easily pick out names just to go on about.
There are a bunch of world champs. Wolfie, like probably the most famous, is in 2016. Paul Ruiz is 2018. Shoma Honami from Japan is 2015. Naoto Mizubuchi is 2019. All of those world champions are there. I suspect there are more, and I just didn't see them on the spreadsheet.
Don't forget Seijin Park.
Is Seijin? Yeah. Oh, Seijin Park isn't. He's not in VGC though, right? He's doing another game.
No, apparently he qualified for Worlds in the video game too, because he is on the list for the video game.
Okay, that's wild.
But he also
thought he was only doing for.
He qualified for TCG. He qualified for Unite, and he qualified for Go.
He is qualified under what is that? He tied for 4th place in Korea's.
Is he going to play
nationals? I have no idea. I haven't looked into it much, but I just know he has qualified for pretty much everything.
Yeah,
so.
that's wild. I would like to see him go play everything too.
Talk about a long day.
He should get some sort of recognition for that from Pokemon. That'd be great.
He needs to be one of the first. They need to make like a Hall of Fame, and he needs to be him and like Ray Rizzo 1 and 2 in there.
Right.
They need to put Pachirisu in Unite for him.
Right.
Yes. Well, whether or not he gets it from Pokemon, we'll give you the recognition station. You get it from us.
Yeah, there you go. And then just other like notable people like JoeUX9 is like probably one of the most prolific US players right now, and he's just been probably the most consistent, I think.
He also has a ton of CP.
2179. He is second in the world.
Huge.
Yeah, he
who has more than
grinded.
Eric Rios, and that is because he won both a regional and EUIC, which I think gives you 500 right off the bat. Like, so yeah, Eric Rios is he national champion and regional champion just this year. JoeUX9 is a regional win and got top 4 in both internationals in NAIC and EUIC. Like you have obviously both of the EUIC and NAIC champions. Like Eric, so James Evans is there as well. Like it's absolutely wild. And then just a bunch of huge names like people you've definitely seen, like Justin Burns, Kyle Livinghouse, like it
James
yeah,
Beck.
James Beck is super. Like he's maintaining a very successful YouTube
Yeah.
channel and just casually getting day 2 with travel assistance. So, like,
Yeah, I'm surprised. I didn't know, like, some of these guys I didn't realize had like gotten that much CP over the course. Well, also this also goes back to, you know, pre Sword and Shield era stuff, but like
Right.
Chongjun with 1400 CP, like I didn't expect that. Like I know he did well this season, but I didn't expect 1400 well.
Also, this is 3 years worth of championship
Yeah.
points,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Which-
that's what I'm saying. Like, but it's still a sizable amount.
yeah,
A
absolutely.
lot of these stack up from pre Sword and Shield. Like James Beck is saying that he was the champion of the 2019 LAIC and he
Yes.
played Necrozma Groudon. So yeah, that is
that
obviously
was
pre
Gen
Gen
7.
8. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
So it's cool. We get all these. I don't know. Again, just seeing the fact that a lot of these players too, you know, they have these high numbers. They have these huge amounts of championship points, which tells you that they have continued to play well and play consistently and all that stuff for 3 years, right? Because
There are not many people here who were like who quit when the pandemic happened or something, right? Like
right.
yeah.
they've all been serious for a while, and if it's not a while, it's because they've been playing really well recently.
Right. Because a good point. A lot of these names, and without actually having to like do research on these people, I have no idea who's who necessarily. But like people who've come in like during Sword and Shield, people who've had that history, right? I mean, obviously there's Sajin, JUX9, Wolfie, like a bunch of names that have been around the scene for a long time. But like people who've come in just for Sword and Shield, I'm not sure. But there's still like I'm sure there's a handful here. I'm sure they've also done well, and it's wild to see. I don't know.
I also want to touch on briefly, like China's doing really well, and they're doing it through the U.S., which is interesting.
Yes.
I don't think there's many, if any, events like in China. I don't know if that's like a political thing or if it's difficult to get them set up within mainland China. But
China has some weird
Yeah.
I don't know what the word is, like I guess rules when it comes to a lot
Policies.
of like like especially when it comes to video games and any kind of stuff like that.
They're
like,
considered like gambling or something along those lines.
Yeah,
if there's any
right.
money
Yeah, and they're-
involved, yeah.
well, like I know just from like the Magic scene, like some things like that, like you have to like they would have to like alter cards that like depicted any kind of
Well,
death or anything, you know, but like
yeah.
there's so many like little nuances to go through, like with China and you know, with the little draft thing we're doing. One of my players is Chinese, Yu, and what we were talking to them, like they just have a hard time, like they can't get on Showdown when they want. Like it's hard for them to get on Showdown, and they'll get on Showdown and it doesn't even show the pixels of the mons. Like you don't even have it's all text based basically.
Wild.
So
Yeah,
so it's difficult for anyone like, you know, mainland China.
and to your point, right? The fact that they're still playing well. There's still a handful of these names are
Oh yeah.
are big Chinese players, right? Like it's cool.
Yeah,
It goes back
Chongjun
to
is
the-
one of the U.S.'s day 2 travel assistance players.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was the Salt Lake City regional champion.
Yeah.
Traveling over from China. I don't know if anybody was like, if anybody remembers like the Players Cup games. Bingji Wang was a huge
Benji.
name at the time. Like it was just hyper offensive god. Was the one who like figured out Clefairy Spectrier back in Series 7 as a viable pair. Everybody thought Spectrier was trash when we first started, and like did really well in Players Cup. And then who else? Zhe Zhang. Yeah, Milwaukee regional champion. Like it really good. I think them in particular only started playing very recently, so they don't have that much CP, but just won a regional and went off of that, like done.
Yep.
Yeah, it's neat, and to the point we were saying before about LATAM, it's the fact that these players want to play, they make it happen, they do what they can, and you know, they do well, they succeed, they get to where they want to be, which is super cool, admirable. So
Yeah, really excited. The unfortunate thing is that we've been talking about a watch party for this, and I don't think that's going to happen now that we've understood the concept of time zones.
yeah, time
on
zones
this
suck.
podcast.
They're horrible.
At the at best.
Yeah.
Right. So
the
we,
UK is 5 hours ahead of Eastern time zone. And these tournaments start at a really early hour, even if you're in the place. Like 9 a.m. I think is when they tend to start. That's when the regional starts.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's
It
Worlds.
starts
as well.
at 9.
yeah.
So
So
that
we
means 4 a.m. for us. I'm not doing that. I don't know what to tell you.
the best. Well, not yeah. We wouldn't want to necessarily watch opening ceremonies, but I think. On that note, follow us on Twitter and look out for Discord notifications. For if we actually do this, but we might at best watch the finals on Sunday morning, because my guess is that the Masters Division finals for VGC would start sometime around 10 a.m. Sunday. We'll see. I don't want to commit. Much as I want to do it super bad, I don't want to commit.
Yeah. That's a tough ask.
So we'll see. Not that it would have any bearing on y'all listeners, but we tend to record this podcast at stupid late at night. So having us do something and get together at stupid early morning doesn't
There's only a
bode
few
well.
hours difference, right? Stay up for like 6 more hours. It'll be fine.
Oh,
I mean,
there you go.
I'll be up during all this, but for actual work reasons and whatnot.
Not on Sunday, I hope.
Oh no, I'm up that early. No, not at 4, but
So
I'm still up. Like sleeping in for me is like 6:30. So
Jesus.
yeah, what a wild time. How and we still get you at this late.
I know.
Interesting.
Caffeine.
Appreciate that, Sheldon. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. That's a lot on Worlds. At least for players and background stuff. And I feel like I thinking back, I feel like if you super were into VGC, you might already know some of this stuff. And if you
I think it's
aren't,
really good.
you have
I didn't
no
know
idea
any of
what we
this
just
stuff.
said.
Going into
Yeah.
this, I knew
That's fair.
nothing. I'm super into VGC, but I started in 2020. That was years ago, and I haven't seen a thing about Worlds because
Oh
there
yeah,
hasn't
yeah,
been a
yeah.
Worlds.
That's true. That's
I think
fair.
I think this is really good. Like people are gonna have this as their first experience with it, and I think it's gonna be a really good one.
Oh yeah,
And I think
especially
after-
because it.
Go
Oh,
on.
go
We're about,
ahead.
we're about to say the same thing. You say it, Sheldon.
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking like that we get to experience it live, like you're saying, like because when I first got into VGC, one of the things I did is I watched old Worlds. I watched some of the older formats just to see how the tournaments are, like
Right.
just
Terrible 3DS capture cards, original DS capture cards.
Yeah.
Like, did those even exist? Was
But-
there some guy like hovering over his shoulder with a camera?
Oh, if you watch some of the original VGC like stream stuff, it is bad. Like 2015, I think, something like that. Like that stuff is awful.
144p. Like,
Yeah.
Cool.
And like it's someone recording like their DS, I think, and then it's got someone recording it for the stream, recording like a projector screen on a wall or so. It's horrible. But
I'm
so
so glad
it's gonna be
that technology has come so far.
we're esports now. Come on.
yeah, esports.
If
Yeah,
only
but it's
people
gonna be
believed that.
exciting.
Yeah, and
I
okay,
believe it in my heart.
Yes. So long as we continue to make this content, boy, I do hope that we believe it in our hearts. But we were not going to say the same thing, Sheldon. I agree with you though. But after 3 years, right? Like, Sword and Shield has not had a Worlds. This is the only Worlds we'll have for this game. A lot of people, like, again, the three of us, we finally came into VGC during this game. We are not the only ones who've had that story. A lot of people have. A lot of people will probably pick this up again, or pick up VGC, sorry, in Scarlet and Violet. So like all this stuff. 3 years, we finally get Worlds. We finally get this game. This is like a near perfect send off for Sword and Shield, right? And what it's done with VGC for the past 3 years with the pandemic, the bringing more people into the game, making it more not accessible, approachable, right? With the quality of life stuff they've added to this game, just making it significantly more pretty than a 3DS capture card, right? all this stuff. And it's a great send off to this game, and it's a great welcoming to what hopefully is the next big step for VGC, which is these next games, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I think this is like it's going to be a great send off, and I think it's going to really like open the door to the next chapter of this game, like of it as an event. As
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
quite like that's one thing too. If you go back and watch like the older worlds, like you can see how much the quality has just constantly improved. So,
And these are like where the storylines are built. You have like
yeah,
I don't know if you when I watched a lot of Wolfie's channel at least a while back. Like not as much recently since he hasn't been as VGC focused, but like he has a lot of these videos in just like world championship history. Like this was an incredibly insane
yeah.
match. Like this is a match where a Dragonite 1v4'd an entire team and won a world's match, or like
that was
this
some
is
of
the
his
patch
better
race you won
videos
or whatever. Yeah, like he
where
has
he
these history
commentated.
videos. Yeah.
Well, that's one thing with Wolfie too. Like a guy like him, he's been around since pretty much the beginning. Like he was like what in juniors or something when he first started.
Yep.
But he has played VGC since VGC started.
Yeah, so he's been around for all these historical moments, and I think there's gonna be more of those this weekend. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
keep an eye out because there are going to be things that people talk about for years and years to come, and I think that's really cool. I think it like establishes the lore of this
Yeah.
hobby we have.
The lore
Yeah.
of this hobby we have. I love it.
That's one thing though that helps too. Like anything like legitimacy as a like a necessarily esport, but you need some kind of story. You need more than just the data on the screen.
And
Right.
there's so many stories.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have people like Joe who have been like, he got that one regional, but since then he's just been consistency. He's been missing it by just a bit every time.
Yeah, he's always the bridesmaid. He's the bridesmaid.
Yeah.
Never the bride.
Yeah. Joe is the bridesmaid. We talked about China as like a force that just came out of nowhere and has taken the scene by storm. They might do incredibly well. There are multiple world champions. Wolfie just came to incredible acclaim, and like since Sword and Shield launched, basically he's become like, probably the biggest figure in our community, like it or not. Like, and he's there and doing really well and like cut regionals. Like he has as good a chance to win as.
And I feel like he wasn't like even like going hard, just like watching him how
he's just that good.
Like what the first regional like at Salt Lake City showed up with Faramosa. Like what he showed up to a regional with Faramosa.
Yeah. And then Santino was like the king of the online era.
Yep.
Like
He'll be there.
Santi absolutely has a shot to do really well. You have a European champion, like Gabriel Agati is like probably like the poster child for Europe. Well, I mean, outside of the EUIC champion, like Eric Rios is also like Europe could take it. It could be anyone, and all of them have their stories, and the person who wins will write the history of this thing.
Yep.
But, like it'll
or someone loses, like Cybertron, you end up with a
let's get a Will-O-Wisp meme out of this, right? Like,
yeah,
he literally changed the balance of the game. That loss is the reason that Will-O-Wisp is 85% effective. You can thank him for that because there are still games that I lose.
And Thunderwave doesn't affect electric types anymore. There's a lot of changes that came out of that worlds there.
What we need is for someone to cheese this out with Ally Switch so that they just remove it from the game.
Yes, please. Take it away. Take one for the team. Yeah.
Yeah, there's and I think one of the biggest things too going into it, because I think we talked about it on one of our first podcasts, was the dynamic of like the East versus the West team building styles.
Yeah.
How like a lot of people say there's no creativity in the East, and the West is just this Wild West.
No, it's both,
bring your favorites.
And it's not even that simple. It's like Europe has different teams from NA, which has different teams from LATAM, which has different teams from Japan, which has different teams from the countries very close to Japan, like the Philippines and all. It's nuts.
So but I think that's going to be a fun little kind of clash. To
see it
team
all come
building.
together.
Yeah.
Or
just
everybody, they call it French rain, like that. That is
or just everybody just brings Rinya
there.
Everybody just brings Rinya's son, and it's the most boring worlds ever. We're just waiting for People Eats Miss.
Little Miss People Eats Miss.
So, I think it would be quite the understatement to say that we are looking forward to and excited for this weekend.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we need to say?
Not about Worlds, I don't think. I want to on a slightly lower level of competition, not much, but just a tiny bit. I want to plug that we are still organizing a tournament. We've hit our first milestone of players.
Yeah,
again, only a tiny bit lower than Worlds.
Just a little bit. We can.
Yeah.
We've hit our first milestone. There will be a cash prize officially. Winner will get $50. That will go up as more people sign up, and we will only join if we are needed to hit a milestone.
Yes.
So, you don't have to play us unless you'd really like to.
On that note, you can always ask to play us.
We'll play you whenever. Yeah.
You want to win against me? Super easy. Come on.
Yeah. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, and it's long form, so you can play whenever you want. You don't have to set aside a whole weekend for it. I guess spoiler, at least one big name, and we've got like Kevin from Pokesports will be playing in that too. So if you ever wanted to play him, then now's your chance to get a set in. Where it matters.
And you better beat him.
Better win.
Yeah, and then so to put that into time's perspective. Should this come out on the Wednesday I want it to, you have a couple days, just 2 days to sign up for that. We're going to close registration for the tournament on the 19th. If you're a little late and you really want to come in, we'll make that happen too. And then the first week of the tournament will be starting Monday the 22nd, so the day after Worlds. And then we'll go until we're done. So super fun. Tell your friends to sign up. We have the link in the Discord down below, so look at that. Or if you're listening on Spotify, it's in the description. Or just find us on Twitter, because we're going to be tweeting about it a lot in the next week or so from recording. What else is there? Real quick, one more thing to Worlds. Do we know anyone, like, pseudo personally who's going to Worlds? I don't think so. Like even to spectate.
I mean, a bunch of my teammates are going to be there, so I'll be watching them for sure.
Neil's going.
Oh, that's right.
Emilio.
Oh, I've got him.
He'll be there.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
But he's playing in the open there too. But he lives there too, so he'll be there. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. Is Swede? Do we know if Swede's going?
Swede might go spectate.
I don't know if he said.
By.
So if you let us know, and then we want to bring you onto the pod. That'd be fun to talk about.
Yeah.
I think.
Get some pictures and some swag.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I think that's the tournament. That's Worlds. Again, they're very similar in scope. It's fine. Put kind of lump those together.
Yeah. It's not the quantity, it's the quality.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it's a high quality tournament.
Yes.
Oh, and there's also something to look out for too. We need to talk more about it offline, but we're playing this week in a little group lessons.
Yeah, we're matched
up. So we need to record and give Harrison here a nice little editing project to do.
Do it.
I'm trying to decide how serious to choose my team. I might do something funny. We'll see.
Yeah, I know. See, that's like I'm on the fence. I was like, is he just gonna bring a World Cup thing, or is he gonna? Or do I just bring
meme on you?
Yeah. Or do I just bring Cramorant and call it a day?
Yeah, we'll see. If I have time to prep, I'll think of something cool. If I don't, I'll choose something that's on my cart. So it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Flip a coin. That'll be fun. I look forward to that project. When do y'all know when you're gonna actually have that match?
We literally haven't talked about it. They didn't even officially match us up until today. So we'll see how it goes.
Hot off the press. Okay, cool. Then yes, that's another thing. On that note, listeners out there, if there's any other sort of content you want to see on the channel, on the YouTube channel, let us know. We'd like to get that input and see if we can work towards something right. The only thing that's there now is the podcast episodes, and then this will probably be the first not podcast thing we put out on the channel, which is just super exciting. But yeah, so we'll do that. Again, if we do any sort of watch party, it'll probably be on the YouTube channel, and we'll figure that out. We'll see how we're feeling that weekend. It'll be early and fun.
Cool.
I think that's it. I think it's an episode. I think we're coming in right under an hour, which is fantastic compared to the last one, which is too long.
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
Woo. Okay. So that being said, I'll say it again. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Make sure you join the Discord in the link down below. All that stuff. If you're on YouTube, leave a like. If you're on Spotify, do Spotify things. Whatever that is, little heart thing, I think, or is that just for songs? I don't know. But all that fun stuff. Come bother us in other social media offline. For this week, comment who you want to win Worlds. Good engagement. Why not? Yeah.
What restricted duo will win? What restricted duo will win?
There
Worlds?
you go. What restricted duo is going to win Worlds? That's right. Because it's still, my mind was in Series 13 from last week, so it is duo.
What
still.
Mythical? Yeah.
It's a better format. Well,
before we go out, what do y'all think is going to win? Let's get some predictions.
It's going to be Zacian Kyogre.
You think it's Swordfish?
Either Swordfish or Lunadon. Those are the two options, I think.
Really? I don't know where I'm at. I kind of want to lean towards like Groudon Zacian, but also I want a Colossal team to win. That is my. Of course you do. Yeah, that is my absolute. And so I think that is probably
humiliating on stream if Colossal wins this Worlds.
So Yveltal Zacian.
I don't.
So
care.
Yveltal Zacian.
Sorry.
So Yveltal Zacian will probably have to be my hope.
That team is like people have definitely done well with that thing.
Yeah,
I just.
Oh yeah, no, Yveltal might be the other two. Oh no.
But Colossal is just it needs to win. It needs to win Gen 8 Worlds.
It would be poetic.
Fitting,
okay,
yeah.
It probably would have won 2 already, but this is its only chance. So
sure. Yeah, it would have won the first Worlds.
Oh, it would have won the first.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
I agree. It would be very poetic. But it gets its chance to come back. It's in Gen 9. You've seen this.
Oh, I am going to be trying every type Colossal. Like that right there is going to be some content. We're going to do a Colossal of every type.
Oh, I like it. Looking forward to that. Thank you, Terrastalization.
It's actually wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's good. There's your comment for this week. Whatever in that jumble of words you want to comment on, do it. Okay, so I've been Harrison. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at @row_Ixen. I stream sometimes Fridays.
Okay.
Better than me.
It really made me think you were going to keep going there.
Yep. Rowan, who are you? Where can people find you?
Yeah. The guy you just referred to as Rowan. I am Rowan, as it turns out. Yeah. You can find me on YouTube, Rowan Hall, Twitter, Rowan W Hall. Yeah, just check out YouTube. I'm gonna keep posting World Cup content, like my matches as I can, and commentate and say how they went. That's that.
And this is Sheldon. You can find me on Twitter at Captain_Unova and on Twitch at Captain Unova.
And together we have been the Game Corner. You can find us on Twitter at Game Corner VGC. You can join the Discord down below. Snuck it in there again. And thank you to Game Chops and RobKTA for the use of our theme song, Goldenrod Game Corner. We'll talk to y'all sometime after Worlds has begun. And until then, press start and game on.
I was really waiting to see if you're gonna remember.
I literally had to look at my
every
thing.
time you sit there and you're just like
it was
we're done, right?
Yeah, we're done. We can stop recording.
I just had this shitty grin on. Like,
oh no I put this at the end. I put these at the end. I hope you know that.
Okay.
All right, I'm stopping recording.
Cool, same.